Hello everyone out there on YouTube and welcome to episode 40 of my Doctor Who action figure reviews. In today's review we are taking a look at the Wave 2 action figure Morbius from the story The Brain of Morbius. This review was meant to be here last week, sorry I had a slight delay, but it's here now and I'm happy to finally be reviewing this figure. I've had it for ages, I've just never got round to it. So to start off with this figure I will take a look at the articulation, which is as follows. The head, well you can't really call it head, the fishbowl doesn't move. It's glued down to his neck, and it didn't move in the story, so yeah, no head articulation. The arms can do a 360 and can also go out to the sides as they are on ball joints. There's I believe there's 360 degree movement at the bicep, yes there is. And the same on the other arm, it can do 360 degrees as well. The human arm can bend up and down at the elbow, and the claw, which is also articulated at the elbow but is obviously larger, can go up and down like that, so you can pose the claw, and the claw opens and closes like so. And the last bit of articulation that Morbius has is his legs are on a T-joint crotch piece and can go out to the sides, forward and backward. They have very low kneecap articulation because he's got short stubby legs, but they do bend, and he's got 360 degree motion at the thighs as well. So that's the articulation for Morbius. Pretty standard articulation, but pretty good, as this is a Wave 2 figure and it's probably one of the first ones to have ball jointed arms and T-joint legs. So let's go into the detail of this figure. So the first thing I'll take a look at is the brain of Morbius, pardon the pun. Essentially what this is a transparent piece of plastic, as you can see. It's a bit blurry, I'm sorry, on this camera because of the light. See if I can just get it into focus. As you can see, it's transparent plastic, as Morbius is contained within this goldfish bowl-like container. Inside you have a very beautifully detailed brain, which is Morbius's brain, as in the story. Morbius is a Timelord who was dispersed when he was thrown off the High Council, and all that's left of him is his brain, which Solon kept alive. And the brain has been sculpted very, very nicely, with all the little indentations of the brain and the pattern and everything, the two halves of the brain, and this has been painted in a very off blue colour. It's a very pale turquoisey blue and it looks very, very nice. If we take a look just inside, you can see the yellow wires that were on the figure. There we go, that's better. The yellow wires going into the base of the container. These are a similar sculpt to the wires that were eventually used on Davros, but these are a bit thicker, and those are painted in yellow and red at the top for the two at the back. And what's really nice about this is you have these two bolts here as well, these two gold bolts that were actually on the helmet as well, and then you have the two camera-like eyes at the front, which do look slightly odd. But it's a very iconic, I think Morbius is a very iconic monster. And they are just like, they begin with a circled part at the end made out of bronzy gold, and then a long tube ending in the big round red and gold circles for his eyes. And then round the midsection of the container you have a ridge, which is where the two halves connect, as this did open up and close to operate on Morbius's brain. So that's the head, very, very nice detail. It's very, very accurate to the story actually. This figure is pretty much spot on in most aspects. So now I'll move on to the body of Morbius. Well, not really his body. For those of you who don't know, Morbius, like I said, had his body dispersed, so he no longer has a Time Lord body, as all that's left of him is his brain. And the scientist known as Solon has been creating a body for Morbius out of various different alien creatures and even his servant Condor, hence the human arm. But the detail on this figure is absolutely brilliant. I mean, if we just spin it round, you can see how much detail has gone into the sculpting of the Morbius body. I mean, the suit is obviously rubber in the story, but it's still very good all the same. And because as you can see here, you've got all these hairs painted in different colours. You've got the white hairs and then the darker hairs here. You have the different skin tones, the different kinds of wrinkles in the skin, and the imperfections. Like this half, it's all smooth, and then this bit's all a bit more bumpy and rigid, and you have a little tuft of white hair there. The stitching is very, very good, as you can see where the incisions have been made, and then the silver stitches crudely placed over the top. It's sort of like a Frankenstein monster type thing, as this is a very gothic Doctor Who story. The yellow wire that's inside goes inside the body, and then peeks out here. I've had some slight paint rub on mine, unfortunately, but there's nothing I can do about that. But the cable looks very, very nice, and it's in the yellow. If we take a look at the back, this is where the detail really shines. You have the huge tuft of fur. This is a piece that's been clicked into the spinal column of the figure, and just runs down the spine. It's very thick at the top here, a very solid piece of plastic, which is obviously clicked in there. It's sculpted very, very nicely with, it's been done in a white and then with darker washes over to highlight the darker parts of the hair. And then if you look on the back here, this is what I really like, is where the flesh has actually been stripped, and you can see the red fleshy bits of the creatures Morbius is made out of underneath and here, and on the arm as well. And this is what I love about this, it's brilliant. And then if we take a look at the arm, obviously it's an alien arm up to the elbow with more tufts of fur. This is made out of a rubbery kind of plastic, so it's a bit more maneuverable for the arm. And then the arm, oddly enough, I actually think this is the most detailed human arm we've ever had, because if you look at it, it is Condor's arm, who's had his arm removed and replaced with a claw in the story, and it's been put on to Morbius. But I just love the detail, and you've got the knuckles and then the actual bones. You can actually see the bones of the hand on the sculpt. I mean, if you just look at mine, it's also it's like that as well, and it's just very, very nice detail. It makes it that bit more real. And you even have a bit of a vein at the bottom there. So that's very, very nice detail. And obviously, like I said, the arm bends up and down like it can in the story. And that's very, very nice. But of course, the more interesting arm is the claw. Now, they've taken a bit of artistic license with the claw, as obviously in the story, this was just a big piece of foam rubber, which didn't look too great. It just looked very, very silly, but Morbius still used it for killing people and strangling them and smashing tables and the like about. So what character options have done with this to make it a bit more menacing is they've actually taken the patterns and sculpts of a crab's claw design. They've actually looked at crab claws and the like, and lobsters, and they've actually done the detailing here, because they do have these sort of grooves and indentations on the claw, and it just makes it that much more, well, it makes it look a lot more like an actual claw rather than a piece of rubber. And it's been painted in like a very dark blue, and then it's got this kind of sandy brown wash over the top that gives it this sort of bone-like feel to it, a bone-like appendage. And on the inside of the claw, if we take a look, the claw has teeth, like rigid teeth on it, which weren't on the actual claw. It was just smooth, and this is just to make it that bit more real as well. And it looks very nice. I painted in a very off whitish yellowy colour, and then dark washes to get into the other little grooves and things. So the claw is very, very good, and as you can see, you can open and close it, and if you have a Tom Baker, you could strangle him as well. And then the legs, not too exciting, just more of the same skin patterns. There's a few stitches on the side here, and then at the kneecaps there is some tufts of hair, ending in 2 stubby feet that Morbius had. And if we just take a look at the back, there is more hair there as well. So that's the detail of Morbius. Not too much to say this review, but it's still a very, very nice figure all the same. So final thoughts on Morbius. If you can find this figure in any Forbidden Planet or any shop, I actually didn't find this in a Forbidden Planet. I found this in a Smith's Toys in Cornwall for many, many years ago. then track it down. This figure cost me £8.99. It was actually cheaper than it should have been. It should be about £12 to £13. But this figure is from Wave 2, and Wave 2's long been and gone now. So if you do find this, even just one, just buy it. I mean, it's a fantastically detailed figure. It's part of Wave 2, and classics are now becoming a sort of a very rare occurrence now. We've only just had a new figure announced with the Silver Nemesis Ace. So if you can get this, buy it in Forbidden Planet, Smith's Toys, even Toys R Us have this figure. So you can, there are a few options to where to buy this. So do track it down, as Brain of Morbius is an excellent story. It's one of the best of Tom Baker's era, and possibly the most graphically violent, if I remember correctly. So if you do go and see that story and you're of a younger age, just be warned. It's a bit creepy even at this age, and I'm 22. So thank you for watching this review, guys. If you want more information, check out Batman March's channel and his blog about this figure, and check out his own review of this figure. And join me in my next Doctor Who action figure review, which will either be the Chase set, the Seeds of Doom set, or possibly something a little bit special, as I have recently acquired the Regeneration 4th Doctor, which is exclusive to the 4th Doctor time capsule. So I may do that as a sort of special review, or I may just do the ones I've been planning before, and then do that one. And just a heads up, my next Godzilla review is coming imminently. I'm going to do it this week. I've been teasing it and promising it since the last one I did. So be ready to get through the review of Desel Troya, which will be probably being filmed immediately after this one. So thank you for watching this review, guys, and I shall see you in my next Doctor Who action figure review.
I'm the Doctor. I've lived for over 2,000 years. I've made many mistakes. And it's about time that I did something about that.